Hi, Phoebe.
Hi, how you doing? How are you?
I'm fine. So, hi, everyone. My guest today is Phoebe. I will let her pronounce her own name by herself so I don't murder
hmm
anything. I personally think I should be able to say your name properly, but I will leave it.
I mean, I wouldn't take offense if it was hard to say because it's not. To me, it's easy, but I can see how it's not easy for everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So just on Friday, before I get into the whole intro, on Friday I had someone say, "Teach me how to say your name," and she's
Mhm.
retiring this week, and I'm like, I don't know if it's like really worth it because we work in
Mhm.
the same place. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
just let's do Abby. Like Abby's fine. Like
Mhm.
we can hang out with Abby for now.
Mhm. Yeah,
So we're
yeah.
going to get into all of that, all of those funny things in the short
Mhm.
time that we have. But if you're joining us today, my name is Bjorn Afrede of the Immigrant Life, and I'm speaking with Phoebe Brako-Owusu.
That's it. Nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing else. You did it. That's it.
Okay, so she is a licensed therapist in the states of Washington and Washington, D.C. She approaches therapy from the stance that traditional therapy theories did not have Black, Brown, Indigenous, or other people of color in mind when they were developed. I am very into Phoebe's content because I know that she supports the immigrant life. She is first gen herself. She's from the motherland because it feels like there are layers to this onion. It's different if
Yeah.
you're white and immigrant. It's different if
Mhm.
you're something else, an immigrant, and then it's different if you're from the motherland and
Mhm.
immigrant. And then it's different if you're not anglophone, you're francophone, and you're
Yes.
immigrant. And
Mhm.
then it's different if you're like dark skinned
Mhm.
and immigrants. So
Mhm.
there's so
Yeah.
many layers to this
You're
onion.
right. You're
And
right.
today, I'm hoping that in my conversation with Phoebe, she will shed some, knowledgeable light to this whole thing. So, welcome, Phoebe.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Bjorn. And um, I think the first time I said your name, I know I butchered it, and I think you had repeated it to me. I I think I started off with biodune, and then it was like, okay, so it's not like biology. So it's like, okay,
No,
no, it's
it's
not.
not.
It's not that way. So I appreciate you taking the time to say my name and say it properly.
Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah.
Also, because I know that you're going to meet many Beardoons in future.
Mhm.
Um, and
Mhm.
then you're kind of like a neighbor, motherland neighbor, so you won't
Mhm.
lose anything learning.
that's
Like, you
that's
might as well.
yeah. That is so true. That is so
Yeah.
true. That is so true.
So usually in whenever it's like on this platform, we start out with the immigrant story. So if you can tell
Mhm.
us something about your immigrant story,
Yeah. Yeah.
we can kick off from there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks again for having me. And like you said, my name is Phebe Brako-Owusu. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. And my immigration story, it's the typical educational one. I left Ghana, which is my home country. I think I was a fresh 18, came to the US for college. And I was just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I was gonna come here and, live my life, get all the freedom, because I came by myself. So I ran away from home. Not typically, but not literally, I would say. But I was very excited to be away from home by myself for the very first time. And so one of the most interesting things that happened to me when I got to the US is that my first stop was in New York, and this was about 2007. I was hoping to be staying with a relative, family friend. In Africa, everybody's your uncle, auntie, all that stuff. And
Yeah.
then you find out actually there's no like blood relation and all that.
No,
So
there.
yeah, so I thought I would be staying with this person. Come to find out that I wasn't staying over there. And
Oh
my
my
very
gosh.
first
Tea. I
my,
said tea.
my very first, yeah, so my very first night, I have all these expectations because I'm coming to America, and come to find out that my uncle was living in an all male like apartment, so they didn't allow any females there. And so he was going to be putting me with a friend of his, and so I'm ending up in this stranger's house, and I don't know this person. I don't know what's going on. And my very first night there,
Hold
I
on,
believe I
hold
was.
on, Phoebe. Hold on,
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe. So are you saying that your
Mm-hmm.
parents, who
Mm-hmm.
I'm very sure African parents, they will like have
Mm-hmm.
police, like, yes, Phoebe,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be saying so and so. Are you
Mm-hmm.
saying that they had no idea that this
Mm-hmm.
was going to happen? He didn't
No,
say anything.
no, no,
Oh,
no. He didn't. And it was even a stopover. I wasn't even going to be living with him. I was going to be there for
okay.
a few days before school started. My
Mhm.
school was in North Carolina, and there were no direct
Oh, okay.
flights.
Mhm.
So yeah, my very first night there at this woman's apartment, I believe it was in the Bronx. There's a shooting right outside the window. And just imagine my panic, right? I was like, oh God, I know you didn't bring me to America to come and kill me here my very first night. Like, I can laugh
Wow.
about it now. But that
The
was
rock.
like one of the very first traumas I experienced here. And I haven't talked about it a whole lot because it's just like one of those things that you put on a shelf.
Yeah.
You look at it a little bit and you're like, no,
We'll
we're
come
not gonna
back to
touch
this.
this. We'll come
Like,
back to
we'll come
this
back to
later.
this.
And so
Wow.
yeah, that was kind of the start of my journey. I came here on a student visa. I didn't know what life was going to look like for me, but I was in college, met my husband when I was in college. Go figure. I went to an all women's college, and yet I met my husband while I was in college. And so
Hey, hold if I remember properly
mhm,
from like some other podcast or live that you've
mhm,
done that I watched, you
mhm,
went to an all girls school.
mhm, mhm. Yeah.
So why would you want to go to an all girls college?
Well, as an international student, your options are kind of limited when it comes to applications and who's going to give you a lot of aid. So I ended up
Okay,
at that school because they gave me a really nice financial aid package.
actually,
And honestly, I was just trying to get into the country, okay? Like, I figured if I came and I didn't like it, I could transfer or whatever. Well, I didn't transfer. I stayed there. It was too much work. Some of my friends did transfer, but I was too scared to transfer. I wasn't sure what life would look like. And it felt safe because I had just come out of an all-girls high school, too.
so you are used to the
So
vibe.
I was used to the vibe, all the and all those things, the drama and all that. I was used to it. And so, yeah, if
Oh
I could go
wow.
back and redo it, I probably would have gone to an HBCU.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
probably would have. Yeah.
So this was nothing like an HBCU.
Oh, absolutely not. This was a very, very white college. Okay. Very, very
Well,
white.
it was if it, we have to give thanks because it was pre-Trump, because I've heard of some experiences in
Um,
white colleges like during that era, and it was not
you
good.
know, I had some experience in college with that because it was during college that Obama got elected.
Oh,
It was
okay.
during
So you,
college at the very first term, yeah. And so there was some experience there where I don't know
there's
if I
some
should get into
ants.
this. There was some stuff that happened on campus, right? And those who went to my school from 2007 to 2011, they remember there were some things that happened. And aside of being a culture shock, there was also like this friction that happened for us immigrant students and like the African American students that were on campus. And
Mm,
sadly, a lot of it did not get talked about or rectified until I think it was maybe our final semester of
yeah.
school. And it was like, wait, hold up, we're actually all one. Like we're the same.
So
And
there
then
was
it
some
brought some
kind of
unity.
agreement. I'm happy to
Mm-hmm.
hear that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy to hear that there was
Yeah.
some kind
Yeah. Yeah, there was. So that in itself was something. But yeah, so I had some experiences in college, just being fresh out of Ghana, being
of.
here,
Mhm.
not being sure what to expect, not being sure of who I was also, and not having the confidence in my
Because
blackness.
who is sure at 18 though?
Right, right, right. That in itself was something, right? And then you add on the layer of like living in a country where you barely know anybody and
Yes.
you
No
sound different,
support
you look
system.
different, right? Right? So that in itself was an experience. I actually just wrote a paper about that because of course, as an immigrant, you never stop going to school until you have a doctorate. Because if you don't have a doctorate, like
Like, who are you and what are
who
you
are
doing?
you? Who are you, and what are you doing with your life? You know?
I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm so happy that you share that here. Right. And
Mhm,
I like the fact that you raised just different faces to this whole thing. You were new
mhm,
in a new space. You didn't get the truth about an arrangement, which you
mhm,
should have known the truth about. So that brings me to being immigrant in a first world country. So for anyone who's going to be listening to this, I just did the air quotes.
mhm,
Being immigrant in a first world country and with relatives or family that have like serious expectations of how you are
mhm,
existing
mhm.
and what they think that you should own or have or just
Yeah. Yeah.
and living with that expectation. And I've
Mhm,
seen first gen, I've seen some of them cut off motherland
mhm.
completely
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
what they say is their mental health.
Mhm,
You know, seen some say, you know what, this is life and I have to embrace them, even when it's harmful. So
mhm.
the fact that I'm speaking with a therapist today, I have to take this opportunity. Can you really say you get a lot of first gen African
Mhm,
originated
mhm,
immigrants
mhm,
in therapy
mhm,
actually doing the work? Because
mhm,
there's in therapy and then there's doing the work.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
You do?
Absolutely. I do. I do. When I came into this field, I did not expect that, right? I figured that I would be the one who would be trying to convince people to come. But I think that when people see you and they see you as like a living testimony of the work that you're doing,
Yeah.
they realize, yo, this is something I could actually try. This is something I could do, right? So when I was in graduate school, I actually started going to therapy like proper, right? And I would talk about it. In the beginning, I was a little scared because I wasn't sure how it was going to be received. So I started talking about it and making it a little bit more open to people. And surprisingly, like some of the people in my circle started going. And some of them, are immigrants like myself who, we all kind of came around the same time or we had similar life experiences. So there's a shift, I would say, especially over the last decade, where we're
Yeah.
having more conversations about mental health. And, with the world becoming even more and more small with, the
The
internet and
internet.
access to technology, there's a lot more conversation about things like that to where like I've had people back home in Ghana reaching out to me wanting services, right?
Wow.
So I did not expect that, right?
Wow.
But when people see you doing your work, when people see
Wow.
you healing, when people see you interacting differently, right? They will they will wonder like, hey, what is it, what has happened? And I can say, oh yeah,
Mhm.
I went to therapy, which is why I'm able to talk about my past traumas. I'm able to have better communication skills. I'm the parent that I am today, right? Because I went to therapy and I learned some things about myself and some things about how I wanted to be and did not want to be as a parent. So
Yeah.
it's something that is, yeah, there's definitely a shift. And also I think it makes a difference that people get to see immigrants like myself who are in the field. Right?
Mm.
There's so many first gen Ghanaians even who are in mental health, and we have these conversations. We connected through places like Instagram, social media, and they're also having these conversations. They're also talking about things around mental health and mental wellness,
Yeah.
and it's opened up the gates for people to be like,
Mhm.
okay, let's try something here. We don't have to always go to our parents. We don't always have to go to our imams or our pastors. There's actually trained professionals out here that we can go and talk to about what's going on in our lives, and it helps.
So I was I was going to come to that. Like for many immigrants still, church is still therapy.
Yeah.
So and for some that I've spoken to, they're like, okay, if there could be pastors who are also therapists, then
Mm-hmm.
maybe I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But without that, I'm not sure. And
Right.
then there's
Right.
pulpits that demonize therapy
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to hear that you just said there's been a rise in the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I don't know. I think recently there was a very popular. There was a very popular, not popular. There was like a big story about someone who got murdered by her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that also kind of put a lot of people in the pulpit in a situation where they had to, just kind of say, in a case where you're dealing with domestic violence, you have to do this. In a case where you are dealing
Mm-hmm.
with emotional, you have to do, and it kind of made them start to talk about things that we consider taboo,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I somehow think that while it's not directly related to therapy, it would affect it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a field of mental health or behavioral health called pastoral counseling, where some
Oh,
pastors will go get credentialed, and like get the education and what it means to be a counselor, or a therapist. The terms are used interchangeably, counselor and therapist, um, based on what credentials you hold, what license you hold, and what you
wow.
got your degree in. So I got my degree in marriage and family therapy, and so I'm a therapist. Some go to school and get a degree in mental health counseling, so they're counselors, right? But essentially,
Oh,
we do mostly the same thing. So there's a field in that. There's pastors who go to school specifically for this,
okay.
and are able to integrate faith, the
Yeah.
Bible into the work that they do. I'm a
Okay.
Christian. I'm a Bible believing, tongue speaking, all of that Christian, right? And I utilize my spirituality and my beliefs in my sessions, for example, when it's necessary. So some of my clients don't even know that I'm a Christian because it's not something that comes up.
Yeah.
However, if I have a client who comes in and brings up their faith, yes, we'll pray together in session. Yes, I might give them some scripture, or we will read some scripture together. Like, I will give them words of exhortation, like the whole thing, right? Based on what it is that they're coming in for. However, if someone has come to me and has brought up like religious trauma,
Okay.
or like trauma from the church, maybe like some pastoral abuse and things like that,
Yeah.
it's not in my place to really like try to change that, or try to be like, oh, no, 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 but as a pastor, like, that couldn't have happened. No, that's very, one, invalidating, and two, like, that's not my job there. My work there as a therapist is to support them, right? My work
Mm.
there is to help them process the different trauma, and acknowledge that the church has done a lot of harm to people, even to me. So it's something that, yes, there's a role that pastors play, and there's conversations that we need to have, but I also have to acknowledge that not all pastors have like counseling backgrounds and know what to say and know how to approach things when difficult conversations around maybe like domestic violence comes in, right?
Yeah.
Because there's this, like, there's a sanctity of marriage, for example, and they're like, oh yeah, you have your vows and all that stuff, but my question is, like, where do we draw the line,
Mm.
right? Because if there's abuse happening, if there's infidelity that's happening, there's all these different things that are happening. As
Yeah.
a pastor, like, do you ask your uh, congregation or your sheep, I don't know what the PC term is these days, but like, asking
Your,
them like,
it's flock, Phoebe. It's
flock,
flock.
flock, yeah, flock, sheesh. I promise I still go. I still go, go to church. It's just that these terms haven't been used in the church that I go to. But yes, you know what I'm
Okay.
trying to say, right? And you have to like be in a place where you need to assess for safety and ask them these kinds of questions.
Mm,
There's a lot of
mm.
abuse, there's a lot of neglect, even emotional neglect that has happened in a lot of marriages that hasn't been addressed, in the churches because we don't want to go there. It's too much or
And because it's like
you
deep
know,
and like there's so many layers, you almost have to be trained for
yeah.
this.
Yeah, you do have to because you can't have someone come and expose their traumas to you and then you don't do some
And then
healing.
what do
Yes,
you do with it?
what do you do with it, right? Because then you might end up even doing more damage to them than
Or
if they hadn't like said anything to you.
said anything? Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So just if you are, watching, listening to this conversation I'm having with Phoebe Brako-Owusu, you can find her on Instagram at Phoebe Brako LMFT. So it's
Yes.
Phoebe as in Phebe, Brako as in Brako, and LMFT at. So you can find her on Instagram or you can find her at 253 Therapy. Or you could just head over to her website. It's www.phoebebracolmft.com. So I'm going to continue. I know we don't have so much time left,
Mhm.
but where do you think the fear or disdain for therapy comes from with the parents? So I have this favorite influencer. Her name is Beverly a Daisy.
Mhm. Oh yes,
Um,
yes, I follow Beverly. She's one of my favorites.
on Instagram, and she
Yes.
she makes fun of African parents in therapy, and it's
Mhm.
always an impossible feat to even achieve. Because in my mind, I'm even thinking, how did you even get them in there? Like
Mhm.
even getting them in there is like praise service
Oof.
worth.
Listen.
So
Mm.
why is there so much fear getting them in there? Because it's one
Yeah.
thing to even tell them that you're
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
therapy. It's another
Yeah.
thing to get them in. Like, what do you do? Do you tell them there's a party, well, when I should be, and let's go, and then you kind of like you like
Not
kidnap
them
them,
showing up to the session and there should be. Come
and
on.
you like kidnap them, and then you're like, let's just stop somewhere. Then
Yeah. I think there's a culture of secrecy around the things that happen in our families, right? It's our family business. We don't take this outside. Why are you going to sit in front of the stranger and tell them that I beat you as a child, or
Mhm.
that I keep asking you why aren't you getting married and things like that, right? Or that I'm responsible for a lot of the traumas that you've experienced.
Mhm.
When we're in a family system, we want to protect what is ours, and that includes some of the not so helpful or healthy parts of the family system. So a lot of times it's really around fear.
Yeah.
There's just this fear around family
And
secrets coming
and
out.
it's valid. It's valid for me because as a
Yeah.
parent myself,
Yes.
it's hard to have to own up to the fact that you did something wrong.
Yes, vulnerability. That's a huge,
Vulnerability.
huge piece, right? And as a parent too, like I have a son who checks me sometimes on some of those things, and it's hard.
It's hard.
It's very, very hard. So just imagine that you have your child going to sit in front of somebody that you don't even know, and they're telling them all the ways in which you
No,
feel as
they're
a parent.
reporting you. Phoebe, they're
They're
reporting.
reporting
You
you.
went to
Yes.
report me.
Yeah. 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 That in itself, there's a lot of that. And also there's like a fear of the unknown because a lot of people don't know what it entails to even be in therapy or what it looks like. People have this misconception that it's about advice giving and like just wagging their finger in their face and telling them that you're wrong and all that sort of thing, and it's not, right?
Mm,
Therapy is meant to be a safe place for you to come and be yourself. Yes, there's going to be moments where you're challenged, there's going to be moments where you're questioned about some of these things, but those things don't happen until there has been an establishment of safety and you've been able to like connect with the person. I'm not going to challenge my clients on the very first date that we meet to be like, so why do you think this is not working? No. There's a gradual way in which we work with our clients when you're working with a licensed professional who is good at their job, especially, right? So
Mm,
even when I'm talking with my African parents in sessions, right? I'm not even going to just address you by your first name, right? Like I'm going to call you auntie or I'm going to call you uncle. Like there's that respect even in the session to where I'm honoring the dynamics here. Because sometimes, they're old enough to be my parents, right? And at the
yeah.
same time, you're coming to me for my expertise, right? So yes, I will give you the respect that's due, and at the same time, I'm going to lovingly and kindly and gently help you see that the things that you're doing right now might not be working for your family. It may have worked for your family before, but right now you have a child in front of you who is saying that this is not working. This is hurtful. That harm is being done, for example. So I think that there is this way in which the process can be less painful, right? And still be worth it, still be time that's valuably spent, rather than it being, oh yeah, she's coming to report me or he's coming to report me, and they're coming to say that I'm a bad parent. No, no, not necessarily that. I'm not gonna sit in front of you and be like, oh yeah, you're a horrible parent. No, there's not. It doesn't. There's no help in that, right? And there's no
Yeah.
healing. There's no healing in that too.
Yeah. So, how can I want to ask this question? It's very blanket, but I just want anyone who's listening who finds themselves in a situation where there is conflict, parent child conflict, and your child is grown enough to move out, your child is grown enough to not pick your call, not call you again, whatever, and you know that you have to fix this, but you don't even know where to start.
Mhm.
Can therapy really fix a broken or help fix a broken parent child relationship, especially in the immigrant space?
Mhm. So I'm very careful with using the word fix, even because sometimes
Mm,
people come to therapy and things don't change. So, in order for therapy to work, the person participating has to do something different. You can keep coming over and over and over again. And if we're talking about different things, we're talking about the way you're communicating with your child or with your parent, and you're leaving the session not going out and doing anything differently, it's not going to be effective. It's going to be a waste of both of our times. You see what I'm
yeah.
saying? So, yes, there's a way in which therapy can help heal these relationships, and there has to be an investment in this, right? It's not
Mm,
going to be. It's not like a magic pill, right? You just come,
okay.
and then I have a magic wand, and they just go whoosh, and then everything is done, and we're good to go. The role of a therapist is to guide, is to help support, is to even like interpret, right? Sometimes we might be saying something to our kids that our kids are just not hearing, and as a therapist, my role is to help break down the language, maybe even use examples to help your child understand what you're trying to say,
So
right?
so basically, so the mom and the kid, they're in therapy,
Mm-hmm.
they're in like a
Mm-hmm.
session with you, and the mom is like, "You are mad," and then you're
Mm-hmm.
like, "No, what she's trying to say is that you're not
Mm-hmm.
doing exactly what she
Mm-hmm.
expects." So that's
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah,
you do.
that sounds about
That's
right. And
hilarious.
and I'm also talking to the mom about the impact, or having the child, like empowering the child to talk to the mom about the impact those words are having on them. Right? What
Okay.
happens for you when your mother says that you're mad? Right? What happens, like how does it
How does that
impact
make
you?
you feel?
How does that make you feel when your mama looks in your face and says you're mad?
I'm I'm surprised that a mom has not brought a switch to your office yet. So what,
No, no,
so
no,
what
no, no.
you-
That, well, like, yeah, yeah, and part of it also is that as a therapist, I'm a mandated reporter. So if anything is said about child abuse or something, like I have to report it. I can't like just
pretend that?
I can't pretend I didn't hear it. I can't cover it up. Like that that
Yeah.
that is risking my license. And the license is how we get to eat small, and get to buy ticket to go to Ghana and send
Go
money
to
to the people in
Ghana
Ghana.
and do year of return. Okay.
And yes, yes, do year of
Yeah.
return, do year.
Okay. Okay. I hear you, Phoebe. Okay. So my final question, because
Mhm.
I've told you guys where to go to find out more
Mhm.
about what Phoebe's doing, the impact
Right.
she's making. Oh, someone said, what does LMFT stand for?
licensed marriage and family therapist. That's what that means. So that's my official license. Because you
Hi,
have to be
Joy.
licensed to do this work. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so my final question: do you have an
Mhm.
orange couch in your office?
My couch is mustard yellow. I don't have an orange couch. It's like a mustard. It works very well with my aesthetic in there. Like, works well with my greens and my blacks in there. A little bit of kente here and there. It works.
Oh, okay, so it works.
Yeah, it
Mustard
works. It
yellow.
works.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a mustard yellow.
Okay.
If you want to see a picture of it, I think there's a picture on my website. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
no,
there's a
no.
picture.
I was vicariously living through your setup, like when you were setting up and you bring your new office, and I was
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
about it,
yeah.
like okay, your couch, and I
Yeah,
was
well, now,
helping
now
you.
that now that you've brought it up, we're going to furnish another office soon, and so yeah, I might have an orange couch just for you. And when I put it in there,
Oh
I
my
will
God,
take
I
a
feel
picture
special.
and I'll send it to you and be like, my sister, look at
Yes,
your
look
couch.
at look at your couch. I wanted to say a big thank you
Yeah,
because
thank you.
of your support for the Immigrant Legacy Journal, and you even shared it. And
Yes, yes, yes. I have my copy,
oh my
and
God.
like I already started working on it. Like, listen,
Oh my gosh.
this
Oh
right
my
here, this
God.
right here. I'm excited for my kids to have it. My kids are pretty young right
Yeah.
now, and
Hmm.
so they won't understand all the stuff in here. But
Hmm.
listen,
I was
I'm going
telling
to
my
wrap it.
son, Phoebe, I was telling my son, like he was saying, no, because they're back in school. He was like, this
Oh,
summer we didn't get to play. Summer is supposed to be
oh.
all about play. And I was telling him how my summers used to go. Okay.
Summer. You
So
had summer. Me, I didn't have summer. What are you talking about? I had like
how my
long
summers used to
vacation.
go. So I told him, I said, summer is when you do the entire book. So that when you get back to school, you've known everything that is in the book. And so you have
Mm-hmm.
teachers round the clock. And if you
Mm-hmm.
go out to play like 1 hour, my mom is coming to yell, you don't have house, Abby. You're sleeping outside. And then you're back in
Whew.
the house. And there's
Mm-hmm.
another teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and that was summer.
Yeah,
And he was
that was
horrified. He was
yeah.
horrified. Like,
These kids don't
what?
know how good they have it.
He was
They don't know.
horrified.
They don't listen. They don't know how good they have. My kids have gone
You
to
know?
Hawaii this summer. They've gone to Great Wolf Lodge. They have traveled. They've had fun. They've gone swimming. They go swimming like every Thursday. I get out of work. I'm going for walks with them. I'm doing. They have it good.
They
They have it
do.
real good. Mm-hmm.
They do. So I do, and shout out to my friend Joy Jibwiki, because when I was going through the final draft of this book, I got her to help me walk through it, because
Mm.
while she's second gen,
Okay. Okay.
and I just wanted to see it through her eyes, and we're able to like walk on it together. But I think what I just wanted was, for many people, their children are not going to learn their languages. There's not so much we can do
Mm-hmm.
about that.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Yeah.
But and if they learn the language, they will not have the accent. And
Mm-hmm.
when you take them around your people, them not having the
Mm-hmm.
accent will make them gaslight them, and so they will not
Mm-hmm.
speak it. So it's kind of like a weird,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
stories will always matter.
Yes.
That
Yes.
that
I
was
agree.
why that's like a big deal
I
for me.
agree.
Plus, we're not, we don't want them out here marrying their cousins. At least not first cousins. Maybe second. Maybe we can deal with third. I don't know. But
Not marry. I
it's
might
true.
even go over there.
No, but it's true. Look, in one more generation, we will need an ancestry.com at this point, because so many people
Right?
are not going back.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
not knowing
Yeah.
each other's family tree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's,
you're right. And it's not like, back in the day where they will go to your village and then go and ask about your family and,
yes,
see if there's
no,
any quote unquote illness in the family and things
yeah,
that we need to
right.
be aware of and blah blah blah. All those things. Yeah, it's we don't have that luxury. So you're right. And I think that that's one of the things that your journal offers, which is a way for us to document some of these things, put down names, all of the details. So we
Yeah.
definitely appreciate you
Oh my gosh.
getting
Thank
this
you.
out to us, because some of us, we need that. We need
It's all of us. It is
that.
all of us at this point. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, Phoebe,
yeah,
for coming on. God
yeah.
knows, and you know how many times we've planned this, and it
Listen,
didn't happen.
I'm just glad that we were able to make it happen, because you both of us have very hectic schedules. We've got
Yes.
kids, we have work and
Yes.
family stuff, and
Mhm.
trying to show up for everybody and their kids too. That's not easy. So I commend you for the hard work you're doing, and also making time for me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So just to round us up, can you tell us about Two Therapists on a Couch?
Two therapists in the couch. Wait, which one is that?
You shared,
Um,
yeah,
Oh, the pod is it the podcast that I shared? Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Okay, so that is it's a podcast that has, these two therapists. I believe they're based out of Washington State, and they had me on their podcast. I think it was last month or the month before, and we had a conversation about trauma, and specifically childhood trauma. And so that's where I got to share about my experience around trauma, especially like a very personal experience that happened um, when I was a teenager. So, yeah, so it is on Apple Podcasts, and it's on Spotify. So if you're interested in listening, I just want to say that trigger warning, there are some details that some of the listeners might find uncomfortable or kind of hard to listen to, or triggering. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's just something to pay attention to. Yeah.
Okay. So
Mm.
someone asked a question, but I'm going to
Yes.
send it to you so that
Okay.
you can
Okay.
answer it on IG. You know how
Okay.
you can
Okay.
use like stories
Mm-hmm.
to answer it. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping
Yeah.
that while she gets her answer, other
Yeah.
people will get their answer too.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Send it to me.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Phoebe. So
Thank you too. Thank you
thank you
too.
so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
All right. Take care.